Hi and welcome to my video tutorial to show you how to create a chevron patterned paper from a simple stripe pattern. I've got a piece of white base card which I'm just going to be fixing some stripes to. As you can see, the start of my chevron is developing so that I can make a strip to accent a card. Let me show you how I'm going to do that then. Here's my stripe paper ready. The key thing to start with is to cut some strips, each an even width. Mine are for 2 centimeters wide, and to cut them at a 45-degree angle across your paper. Now, the great thing about having a cutting mat like mine is, of course, the grid pattern will point out to you where the 45-degree angle is, so it's easy to spot. Just going across from diagonal corner to corner to corner, like that. So I'm going to line up my paper, cut across, starting from one corner of the paper, the diagonals of these squares. So can you see I'm going from corner to corner. Start by trimming away that a little bit. So now I've got my 45 degrees at the ready. All I need to do is rotate the paper and I can have this aligned neatly along on my cutting mat, and I can set about starting to cut an even width of strips for my paper strips here. So I'm putting a 2 centimeter width, which lines up, as you can see, like about there on the mat. I've pre-measured this so I know where I'm lining up, and I'm just going to cut away a few. Line her up again. And of course, as we go further into the paper sheet, the strips become longer. Make sure it's at that 45-degree angle, lined up every time, so there we are. So there we are. Got our strips piling up, and now I'm going to be able to create our chevron. I need to rotate this piece of paper and cut some more strips, but at a different angle to that first one. So I need to cut this corner here. Otherwise, you'll just end up with a lot of strips that are at the same angles and nothing that's able to create the chevron going zigzag pattern. You need to get the two side-by-side corners, not opposite corners, but side-by-side corners of your stripes is where we're going to cut the next 45-degree angle. That's the corner I'm going to cut. So I'm going to line this up on my cutting mat grid. I'm going to get busy with creating the actual zigzag. So I mentioned that I've got just some plain card. I've got some double-sided tape going on just down the edges of that card to fix my paper strips to. Now then, all I did was I started by taking one of my stripe patterns and fixing it then to the end of my card and trimming away the excess, and taking another zigzag strip and rotating it to make sure I could line up with the pattern to get the zigzag. Now that's why I needed to rotate my original piece of paper to get strips at different angles, because you'll find that you'll need some that are where the stripes are running one way and some strips where the stripes are running the other way. So you'll need to just experiment with what strips you've cut. And then, of course, cutting away the excess. And here you see that one doesn't match up. That's one of the strips I'll need to just save to one side. here we are. This one suits the right angle. It's actually not going to be a good one to match up with my pattern because of the corner here is a little bit too close to the card, so I'll save that. And find, here we are, this is a better one because it matches up with the pattern neatly in the strip there, and make sure they butt up against that existing pattern that we've got, and it's fixed to create the next part of the zigzag. So let me continue with a few more in the pattern, and although that matches this part of the pattern, the pale brown, actually it doesn't match the rest of the pattern. Here you can see this rich russet brown doesn't match up, so that's not an appropriate part of the strip. Let me find another one. Nope. That's not going to be long enough. And you see, it's just a matter of trial and error until you get the pieces you need. Let's try this long one here. And here we are, that matches up this way around. Perfect. Try some more of this. Oh, no, not zigzagging. What about this one? Yeah, that's gonna work, but there's just that tiny corner missing, so I'm not going to use that one. It's a little bit too short. No. What about this one? No. But this way around it matches, so that's good. There we are, and you can see how my chevrons are really building up nice and neat. Let's try. No, that's not going to work. Here we go. Good match. There we are. So I've been able to build up my zigzag strip. So that's a good length that's going to work well on my card blank. So I'm going to just trim away these excess pieces, which you can do as you go along, like I did there, or right at the end, like I'm going to do now. Trim them all away. I'm going to use my ruler to make sure I get a good neat finish. And as you can see, I've got a pretty neat little chevron pattern out of what was a fairly standard stripe. So it's a great way of maximising the use of your papers. I'll be able to use that on a card. I'll make that and show you the results. And of course, I cut so many bits of paper, I've probably got enough to make some more chevrons or use these scraps up in another project. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful. Do let me know what projects you make, show me your chevrons, and thanks for watching.